Good afternoon, traders. Get ready because we're here with another start swing trade, and I'm super excited to talk about the swing trades that we left on, of course, last week. We'll talk all about those. We talked about it before we put them in. We put a what? A G2C order. What does that mean? Good till cancel, of course, and we've got some great winners building up. This is why I love swing trading and is my bread and butter, because a lot of the times, what can I do? I can let the market work for me. And that's what it's truly all about and start swing trades. So I'm going to go through some of my swing trades, baskets that I took in, of course, airlines and the cruise lines. Let's talk all about them here. Let's get into the action and see where the money is. All right, let's go ahead and take a look here. And of course, you guys smash the like. We'll start with first the market. Let's just take a really quick peek here. As you guys are seeing the SPY make a nice little up move. It hit the 420 just a couple seconds ago before we went to the stream. And you guys know I've been yelling about that 420, talking about how that is the official new bull market. And it seems like we're right around the corner from it. Now, there could be some warnings and some headwinds starting to present themselves. And a lot of that coming from, of course, China stocks. We talked about this last week. Would China stocks play catch up to the technology names? That's why I was keeping a close eye on names like Baba, names like JD, names like PDD, right? I feel like at the end of the day, these are opportunities. We need to be keeping ourselves open to all different types of market and, of course, the situations that could present themselves between the battle between China and, of course, the United States. As we know, a little while ago, we did battle on, of course, what? We started doing the battle of the chips. We did our CHIPS Act. We did different restrictions on, of course, the Chinese chip market. Now, what are you seeing? You're seeing that battle back. And I think it's very important to keep an eye out on this because this could definitely expand to a bigger situation. All right, let's get to the basket trades. Then we're going to go back into this story because I actually put on a trade today specifically because of what could be coming forward in, of course, technology and the chip situation. Stick around, team. Smash the like. I see 55 of you guys joining me today. I know I've been out a little bit. I hope I look like a little better quality. I've improved my quality of my recording. I want you guys out there to let me know. How do you guys seeing everything today? You guys excited to get into some stocks? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what you guys have been swing trading. I see the Crow, Walter, Kevin. Good to see you guys out there. Milky Fade, you know it, baby. Hit that like. Let's get into the action. Jamie Dimon saying we're screwed. Well, I mean, wasn't he the one that said a little while ago that everything was fine? Just goes to show you a lot of talking heads out there. And of course, you guys believe what you guys want to believe. And always take a little bit with a little bit of extra salt, right? Let's get into the action. Let's take a look and let the swings be swingers, baby. We're here for base hits, not home runs, though. Home runs just fall into place. That's the way I feel. Let's get into the action. Let's start taking a look at, of course, the basket of trades and then the new trade that I put on today. So, of course, NCLH is how we started with this, right? We started actually on a downturn, right? You guys can see that the recent downturn when this came back down all the way towards 1325. And I was adding to this position on the way up. So, of course, was able to take some profits today and celebrate a little bit. Took a nice little profits towards the 1442 today. And now I'm going to look to see if we can get above this 1450. It's acting as resistance right now, but something definitely to keep an eye out for is the cruise lines. Why did I start taking this trade? Well, the simple reason was RCL and showing so much strength. I wanted to see RCL continue to show the strength and continue leading the industry. And then I didn't stop there at NCLH. I went for also Carnival Cruise Lines. Look how this one's been performing. You guys remember recently, this stock was up here around 1075. And I said, if it came back to 10, that's when I liked it. So what did I do? I grabbed this one at 1014. Yeah, it might have been a little bit off that 10, but I needed to at least get some exposure, especially once I start seeing these plays. I don't want to miss them. One of the biggest things as traders that we tend to do is what? Plan trade, not take a trade. And so a lot of times, what do I want to be doing more of? Staying objective, making those plans, and then attacking the execution. That's what it's all about, team. That's what we're here for. At the end of the day, you don't get judged on your planned attack. You get judged on your execution. Sometimes that's going to slip a little bit on some cents. Here, I felt like I still chased Carnival a little bit towards that 14 cents higher, but it's turning out to give me one of my best wins right now. I'm up about 10.95% on Carnival and looking to keep this going. Let's get into some other action. Let's get into the airlines today, as American Airlines did get a negative news today, and that's why it's pulling back a significant amount. It was up there to 15. I was up a decent amount on this one. I'm only up about 1.83% now because of what happened. JetBlue, American Airlines getting hit a little bit on some regulatory issues. And so, of course, this could affect American Airlines in the longer term. But for right now, I'm still feeling like if oil prices could keep coming down, maybe we could get this continued spike in the airlines. I still have faith in the airlines. I grabbed American at 14.19. Of course, today we pulled back close to that 14. Going to keep it on watch to see if it can continue going higher on American Airlines. All right, let's keep going. BAL taking profits on this one today, as this one has really made a nice move higher. We are watching this one come out of this trend line, and then wouldn't you know it, on the day that I leave, it makes a huge rip. Would I have maybe sold some at 36? Yes. But today I sold some at 35 as it starts this stair step higher, right? And now I can just keep watch to see if this one can push through that 36 and continue just riding the trend, right? This is a basket approach. And then there was also one last one that I'm up a significant amount in, 5.25%, which is UAL. And you guys can see how we're rejecting the 48s right now. And I'm going to continue to watch to see if we can get above the 48s here for United Airlines and really start pushing this one also a little bit higher. So we can see how these have kind of bottomed out recently. And now I'm really looking for the trend to change. I'm really looking for continued trend to keep going higher with these airlines. Of course, I'll keep a watch on the market, but it doesn't look too bad. All right, that's going to do it for at least UAL, airlines talk, cruise lines. I won't go back to these. That's all the talk that we need to talk about these. I just wanted to keep up with you guys and the swing trades. So I've been holding this position now and all these positions for pretty much over a week. Like some of these I opened up on Tuesday. Some of them I had it on Monday. So we'll say close to a week there. All right. So now I'll be looking to see if these can just continue riding the trend. A lot of the times that's going to be that light blue line that you see here. So pullbacks to that light blue line, we're still holding the trend. That's the 9 EMA. Why do I use the 9 EMA? Because it's part of the MACD convergence. So we'll see if this can go back up through the 48 and continue on the up ride. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into the new position of the day and a little bit of the China talk, right? So right now there's a situation, right? We saw how Micron reacted today, though. Let's get to Micron so we can show you guys a little bit of that. Of course, this news came this morning about situations about kind of not selling chips, China coming after pretty much the demand there for Micron chips. And you guys can see how this climbed back the worries today. But that's not, I don't think it's out of the worries now. I think this is one thing that we need to keep in mind, right? Because technology stocks have been really strong. But what is an easy way to change this is, of course, we start to get more of the trade wars. This is why I'm pointing to what I named this stream right here. You guys can see it down below me, why this is the new bull market, and it might find a wall, right? Well, the wall might be the China wall, really. The Great Wall of China, right? Well, this is it here. We'll see what happens here. Will Micron continue to climb? Will they come in for more companies? Will they start to hit the equipment stocks? So I actually talked about this on PreMarket Prep today, that I was looking for what? Not the semiconductors so much, but the semiconductor equipment stocks and how those would perform today. So I went after, of course, Lam Research that I talked about this morning. So definitely catch me on PreMarket Prep if you guys want the early talk, right? Well, I went after Lam Research on a pullback and started to go ahead and get short on this. So I got here 586.58. have seen this come down there towards the 583s, was able to take a little bit of profit on the first move, as I did get a little bit of a second fill. So I took that second fill off. Now only have a small position in here. I'm up about 0.29% and going to look to see what happens. I'm going to risk off the 590s here. Why? Because this stock has been on a complete up tear. It has been. It completely pushed off last week. And with that being said, I feel like we could get a decline. And the big thing here for me is just going to be understanding where my out is. My out is going to be 590s. If I do get squeezed to 590s, it's going to be okay. I think the important thing here is just understanding that if for any reason China does come in here and really starts affecting the chip market, well, you'll start seeing these stocks quickly come tumbling down. All right, let's get out of the Lam research and the China stocks talk. We can go ahead and get to Ford. I see you in the chat, Michael. Don't worry. I won't ignore you. We can definitely get into some Ford conversation. And of course, they did have some news today, and you guys can see how they're starting to push a little bit after their investor day, but there's not much here. I can tell you that right now. And I think one thing that we need to very much keep in mind is that for Ford, what was said by Elon Musk? Elon Musk said that, of course, he sees a lot of trouble in this space. There could be a lot of macroeconomic trouble coming into this space. Why? Higher interest rates, right? Of course, a lot of these EVs that they're focusing on are really already hard to sell, right? Because of the high price tag. Then when you start looking into a little bit more situations, you take a look at the margins. The margins are even harder. Exactly what Elon Musk talked about, right? That the margins are really hard. He tried to do it in a way of patting his own shoulder and saying that, look how we can sell these vehicles profitable versus how the legacy vehicle owners are going to be when they're making these vehicles at an unprofitable rate. Same thing is for GM, Wally. That's the way I feel about it. Of course, you guys take this with a grain of salt. Do your research yourself. Take a look at it, right? The truth is, in this space, they're going to have trouble meeting the margins that they want to meet and sell on every vehicle. So what are they going to do to come up with this, right? To combat this? Well, I think there's going to be a competitive pricing model, right? We've talked about this with Tesla. Tesla's, you see how much they changed their pricing, right? Why? Because it's a competitive pricing model now. It's no longer that it's Tesla's your only option. There's other competitors coming in. So now it's just going to be a battle of who can get the best margins for giving up the least amount, right? Well, the truth is, I think Tesla can get the most of the margins for giving up the least amount, right? And then Ford is going to have to probably do the opposite. They're going to have to really be competitive with that price to bring it down to get the consumer to lean more towards Ford, of course. And we'll see it, right? Can they do that? Can GM do that? Can they afford to do that? And at what cost to shareholders' value, right? Something to keep in mind. All right, let's keep going. We'll get out of the Ford conversation. We can take a little bit more talk about autos if you guys like. I also saw for a little while today, LAZR up. So let's talk a little bit about this pullback. I was looking for a pullback to 650 on LAZR. I wanted to take this one in the small account challenge for a swing trade, but it never came back, team. It just ripped through there. And this was all based off of a CEO purchase on LAZR. So you guys can see, of course, insider buy, right? Definitely took off there. So I will be looking for pullbacks on this and also look to see if other LiDAR plays can get hot. Ouster was moving this morning, and you guys can see that getting a little bit of a lift. This is a LiDAR play, OUST. Look how this really just kind of took off today. Something to keep in mind. And where could you have gotten that information? Well, of course, on our live trading stream. That starts every morning, 9 a.m. And you don't want to miss it, team. There's so much there that we could catch early that by the time we get in here, you see it much higher. So we were talking about Ouster right out the gates around 10:15, 10:30. I was taking a look at the best performing stocks and their themes and calling it out, of course. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into the chat. What's going on out there? The Crow. What's going on, Michael? What you looking at, Crow? MBot? Oof. MBot getting halted there? Man, Let's take a look there. MBOT, yeah, Holton on the downside. That one's a runner, and you got to be careful when you're dealing with these pennies, right? All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at what else is going on. Thanks for the news, Walter. We traded it all day, dodged the offering. Woo! Sometimes you got to be quick, and sometimes you got to be even quicker. And this was one of those situations where you got to be fast, man. All right. Hey, Mitch, down 200K from shorting Tesla. Armored plates, man. We always got to be careful, right? I mean, I'm not saying that your call was wrong, or even when I'm shorting Tesla, it could be wrong, right? The truth is, always keep the risk in mind and understand that we're in for multiple trades, not one trade. Remember my line. I think it works a lot for a lot of people. And so my line to that is always, don't let one trade make us. And also, don't let one trade break us. The truth is, we need to be kind of stair-stepping our way to success, not looking for leaps forward. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going on out there. Yes, Saul, CXAI. CXAI, how's that one doing? Nice little push there high to 810s. This one doesn't look too bad. Definitely has pulled back massively since the recent kind of push higher. But if you can see here, came back kind of right where you'd find support, 711, that kind of area. Now I'd start looking at kind of trend lines to see if you can start making its way back there towards 12. So this is one that I'd be looking at for what we call a day 2 move, not only day 1 momentum, but can I get 2 days of momentum? And then you could set alerts, right? Maybe you get a push a little bit above 8 and then a pullback right below 8 and it reloads and goes higher. Things to look for in CXAI. All right, let's keep going. We're going to take a look at what sectors were hot, what sectors weren't today at 3:30. We're going to go ahead and get to our interview. So we got about 9 minutes left till we get to Option Mike. And I know that he's going to have even more information than I am right now. Of course, I'm getting back into the groove with the market. So don't want to take too many trades today. Got to get back into the zone. We talk about it all the time. The truth is, as traders, that's our job. Try to stay into the zone. There's going to be times where you're outside, you're not feeling in tune with the market, and there's going to be times where you feel in tune with the market. Knowing this is going to help us to know when we hit the brake pedal and know when we just boom, boom, shift into second gear and get that trading going. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look underneath the hood. All right, so we take a look at technology today. What do we see in the recent action? We talked about this recent resistance, right? And I'm really loving to do this with you guys because the truth is that I draw lines all the time to what? To see what happens when we get to that level. We created this on 420, updated it right now, 522. You guys see that right there. It says it clean and day. And that's why I like TC, because it does tell us when we created lines so that we can see. Were we kind of cherry picking? No, that was resistance there, and we blew through that. And so this shows me that lately we've had a nice push in technology. Where has this come from? Well, let's take a look underneath the hood, right? One of the most interesting areas is going to be to do what? Is to look at what are we seeing here, right? In the industries, what has recently run? Let's go ahead and take a look underneath technology. So under technology, we're going to have different areas, right? We have communication equipment. We have computer systems, right? This has made a nice little move higher. And there's a stock on here that I'd put on the radar just because I'm starting to see some of these growth names really take off. We've talked about this with Kathy Wood names. Would the growth names start coming back? It seems like that's exactly what we are seeing. So you guys can take a look here. DM, Desktop Metals, getting a little bit of a push up. Can getting a little bit of a push up. VLD, Velodyne, getting a little bit of a push. Of course, these are smaller names, but just something that I'm keeping in mind. Consumer electronics recently just kind of stair-stepping its way higher. I keep an eye out on names like this, of course, to see if they can push higher. Even Vizio starts showing up here. You got kind of GoPro showing up on the day. It didn't have a bad one. I'm not too sure about these stocks, but you can see Turtle Beach tried to turn around a little bit. Keeping an eye out on names like this, but don't expect too much here in this space. You got contract manufacturers. That doesn't look like the craziest area. Electronic components starting to get a little bit hotter, but nothing that's really standing out to me there. Then we get into electronic gaming. This is all about the ATVI situation. It just seems like we need to find out what happens here before the stocks kind of push higher. EA is one that I'd keep on watch. That one's still in a kind of pattern here that's kind of just holding sideways. We'll look to see if it pulls back or tries to make a move towards 130. I'll leave the electronic and gaming by itself. Let's go to the health information services. That's just starting to bounce and just starting to get hot there. So what are certain companies that we can look for to see if they start to make a move? Well, VEEV is one of the stocks in that space. But really, I'll tell you, not saying too much there. Maybe it's TDOC, right? We saw how TDOC made that recent move. Now it's really kind of put in a real kind of bottoming look. Take a look at the weekly. A lot of bottoming action around the 23s there. We'll look to see if it can get moving off the ground. All right, let's keep going. I do want to take a look, of course, at semiconductor equipment materials, as this has recently gotten a pop. I'm going to look to see if it has a quick pullback. When we talk about semiconductors overall, you guys can see that that's recently already made a huge move. We need to keep watch to see if it creates a big move through the resistance or a pullback through the support. So it just put in a nice bullish engulfing candle here, showing us strength. Let's see if that changes. If we break this candle on the downside, that would not be a good look there for the semiconductors overall. Of course, you guys can take a look at stocks like AMD pushing higher, back up above the 107. Really nice opportunity a couple of weeks ago at the 90s and coming right back through the 100 level. We'll see what happens there on AMD. This has been really one of the strongest stocks. And of course, NVIDIA, the monster that is NVIDIA. I've talked about it last week that I didn't want to be short NVIDIA anymore just because I kept seeing the action. And yes, I did get some trades on into the green shorting NVIDIA, but that didn't mean that it was easy money. And definitely you guys can see as of late, this is not the stock to kind of go after. And one thing that I've noted, and I tell this all the time, I know that people say, oh no, but it's overbought. It's overbought. But is it truly overbought? That's what matters to me. Not necessarily if you can just say it's overbought, because just saying it doesn't really matter to me. I want to see it historically extremely overbought before I even think about that, right? And so if you can see here, what do I always do? And I look at RSI for this. I don't care necessarily about the standard numbers like 80 or 20 on the RSI. I only care about historical reference, right? Where are the peaks and the troughs? That's what I'm looking for. So you guys can see here, a lot of the times that's through the 89 level. And so when we get to 89 on RSI, then I can be like, okay, yeah, we're seriously overbought here, right? And we'll see what happens if we get to that level. But the truth is, there's still room to run, right? Even on the action that went sideways, it pulled back, didn't get there to the lower extreme, and already got rebought up. So what does that show me? Not a stock that I probably want to go fighting on the short side. All right, let's take a quick look into energy. You guys are seeing this get a little bit of a bounce, keeping an eye on a stock like XOM. Of course, last 2 weeks ago, the biggest miss, at least for me, off the 111s, was looking to get short on these and just kind of messed up the trade. It happens, team. It hasn't come back. If anything, it's using that 106 level around that as resistance, it seems like. So I'm going to be looking to see if that can reject. And it comes right back down towards the 102s. Will I be going after these? Probably not, because I kind of already messed up my trade and it's already kind of ruined my mentality on where I'm getting in on these. Maybe I can rent them on a day trade, but swing trading it from here, I feel like I'm starting to get into that, what I call the pig stage, where you're in the middle. You're not a bull. You're not a bear. You're a pig. And we know what happens, guys. They get slaughtered, baby. And so I'm not going to take a chance on that. I feel like it's just middle of the line. Of course, I can at least see some resistance. We'll see if it rejects and keeps coming down. Keep your eyes. I did see that Oxy got that kind of rebuy by Warren. Can that actually move the stock? Something to watch out for. Also, can take a look just like the XLE, right? Will this just reject 80, come right back down to 77s? We'll find out. All right, that's energy. I'm about to get into our interview in just about a minute or two. Real estate kind of getting a little bit of a push, something that I don't even kind of touch right now. It just seems like I don't understand this space. And one thing's for certain, right? When you don't understand an industry or maybe don't understand the move, I just won't trade it. I don't need to trade real estate stocks, so I'll leave that area alone. Financial services, of course, we're keeping a heavy, close eye on this because of the regional banks. But what do I see as of late, right? I see a lot of just hanging out at the top, not really taking off, but also not really kind of breaking down. I think that's the important outlook here that we just need to keep on watch. Will this ever come into a situation where we do see a breakdown? And of course, if we can come back and hit this trend line, we've been drawing this from a while, created this on 410. If this can come through and maybe start making its way like to 45, 48 on the KRE, yeah, we'll be looking a ton better. All right, that's the financial services. Healthcare finally getting a little bit of a bounce to the upside. Something to keep on watch, right? We need to keep watch. Some biotechs, that's continuing to climb a little bit here. Major names pulling back today. So we'll look to see if some of these can catch a lift. I do see this one, this BGNE, getting a nice little move today. Another biotech that's helping out the industry overall. But some of the bigger names down today: Gilead, Amgen, NVO, VRTX. And of course, when you look at the majors manufacturers, you guys are going to see Lilly down big. Of course, Pfizer coming out with some news about the weight loss drug, and that gave them a little bit of a bump up. I think in the long run, though, I would be relying more on the Eli Lilly pullback for maybe an opportunity to buy this pullback. The only question is, where does it stop, right? We don't have that answer right now. So if anything, I'll just be on a kind of more wait and see here for Eli Lilly. What's on the downside today? Consumer defensives really starting to take a hit. And if you can see here, kind of a rounding top. You know how we get a lot of rounding bottoms, right? Well, this kind of is more that rounding top here on the daily outlook. So where are these stocks getting hit today? Well, Walmart definitely rejecting the 150s. I thought this would make a move above the 150s and actually start holding, right? Well, that's not what we're getting here. We're getting that decline in this. So keep your eyes on Walmart. Doesn't look the best there. Target overall pulling back, and if anything, making a down move. Doesn't look good there, right? Another stock that I wanted to watch in this space, Costco, for a 500 move higher. It seems like these are just not getting the love. And of course, we'll keep watch to see what happens on names like Costco and others. PG also down big. Seems like the market is slowly but surely getting away from these value names. And where are they going? Seems like they're going to growth. All right, that's going to do it for my PG talk. We can definitely take a look into the market, talk a little bit more about it when we come back. But let's go ahead. Let's get into our interview. My man, Option Mike, is, of course, ready in the back. You guys out there, smash the like for Option Mike and throw some questions in the chat. You know, one thing is I've been out a little bit. So if you guys have a question, you guys want answers in the market, now's your chance. Throw it up there. All right, let's go ahead and bring on Option Mike. First thing I got to ask, where's the dog, man? Because I always see these beautiful pictures of your dog, Option Mike, and I got to say, there's nothing truly like a little bit of some canine love.
Well, he was here a second ago, but he decided to go out barking out in
a little
the
back.
corner.
He just ran out. He was like, he knew I was going to call on his name.
I know I was going to grab the camera, but he went running out. He wanted to go bark at somebody out in the other room.
How's it going, Option Mike? It's good to have you back on. Of course, this market seems like we're kind of in a little bit of a rally. We keep shaking things. We've made our way to almost 420, even hit it today multiple times. What do you think about, is it a new bull market?
So I think what's going on here, I need to turn a sound off here on me. There we go.
I got you.
The market last Wednesday had good news, right? It looked like we had a close to a debt ceiling resolved, and the market's like, okay, let's go. And, you know, this was after 8 range-bound days that were just hideous. I mean, trading for the 2 weeks going into that was very difficult. But these individual names have been outperforming, and that's what I've been focusing on, and that's what I've encouraged everybody else to focus on, the names and not the indexes themselves right now. And then over the weekend and starting on Friday, we started getting some bad news that maybe the debt ceiling deal wasn't as close as we can be. And, you know, we were just talking about this in my room, and to me, this is political theater, political drama. You pick what you want, but, you know, both sides will wait to the last minute to make a deal because they may already have a framework of a deal, but now let's see if we can do better, because we can sit here and hold everybody ransom, and we get to, oh, by the way, we get to come out and talk now for over and over again, and everybody has to listen to what we say, and we get to gyrate the markets. So,
yeah, and I think, you know, we also got another situation that came in today, right? The China situation with Micron, right? And kind of how that's playing out. Do you feel that that can expand in a different situation?
We've known for over a month now that China was considered doing this, and they didn't completely ban them. They banned select of their memory, but they still can go sell their stuff to their smartphones. And this is this is just a little bit of a tit for tat from China back at us for everything we have banned on their end and not allowing to them. So is there some concern that this could be contagion? They may do others, maybe, but look at AMD today, came roaring back and took out last week's high. So if there was a lot of concern, you wouldn't see names like AMD coming back up here. And Nvidia didn't, but Nvidia's had a massive run and has earnings on Wednesday. So market's kind of now, let's see what they say.
Yeah, it's something to look at. One thing that I'm thinking about though, does the scare put enough for profit taking? Because the truth is that I'm sure a lot of people are looking at their accounts and seeing some good profits in technology. Now it's all about the psychology game, right? Will they come in and give them a little scare? That's something that we'll just think of.
I mean, the problem with this market has been basically hanging the same 10 or so names now for the last couple of weeks. And, they want the Qs, but it's not broad participation in the Qs. And, the Qs have made a 52-week high. And if you're not paying attention, it took it out last week and it's continuing it today. But it's on the back of some of the big names. And for me, if you're just looking at the names that have good earnings that they liked, or had good news like Tesla, when you go back and look at that interview he did, which was, I thought was a good interview overall. These are the names they're going into, and everything else they're kind of just ignoring and like, you don't exist. It's not important for you to be here. And you have no participation from the banks. You have no participation from energy. Pharma's being sold off right now. Like you said, some of the safety names. Costco has earnings on Thursday, but Walmart had a great report and great guidance. They dumped that, right? So, Target was bad, Home Depot was bad, and so retail is not looking too healthy. So to me, you just got to stick where you are, and I'm just sticking with the names that are working here. And I'm sitting in some Apple calls and I'm sitting in some Meta calls because they both are they've been sitting for a bit. They look like they could be the next ones to lead us.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Let's go ahead. I'll bring up your charts here and we can go a little bit deeper into what you're seeing in the market. So I'll let you take lead. One of the things that I always think is important is trying to keep up with everything, right? And when I take a little bit of a break, I want to hear what Option Mike has to say, of course. And I think that's very important because we all need kind of a supporting community that can kind of keep us in check. Like always, what I always say is I take everything with a grain of salt. But that's what it's about, right? Having those traders around you, a supporting community to keep you up to date. And of course, then I start getting more in tune. I start looking. Am I seeing what Option Mike is seeing, right? That's how we'll go about it. So let me know. What do you like, man? What are you seeing right now?
Well, again, we'll just quickly go to the SPY. Here was Wednesday's break of this monotonous range. And I always say this, ranges are designed to be wear everybody out, wears both sides out, both bulls and bears, right? It frustrates everybody. So you got a nice 2.5 day move into Friday morning. Well, two and an hour move, whatever it was, into Friday morning. But again, I still think we're going to come up here and test. I like the 430 area that I think we're going to come up and test. The reason I say that is if the market was really concerned, guys, the VIX would not. The VIX. Why is this not working?
VIX doesn't want to come up. Come on, stock charts. You got this, baby. I actually like using stock charts. I like their website too.
I love using their website, and I have everything saved. So when something like this happens, we just go to a save chart.
Look at that! Look at that, man, prepared, baby.
But the VIX is saying nothing's going on here, right? The VIX is not saying there's any fear. So that's when I look at this, I say, okay. And then I say, all right, well, where are they at? And then we know where they're at. They're in tech. Here's your 52-week high on the Qs. You have a nice little bull flag that's set up here. So for me, guys, it's stay with the strong names. Meta, you had this huge, great report where it gapped up. It kind of, let's try this again. Let's try getting all my stuff back in because now it went to the VIX chart. There it is. So you have this nice move up, riding the 8-day. You tried to break out today on bad news. Remember, they had to pay a 1.2 billion euro fine today for what they did with some of their data from Facebook specifically. So I'm in some calls. I'm out in the June 260s, I think. So I traded with stock today, made nice money, put a little bit, put it at risk in the June 260s to see if this can go. And the reason is because when you look at this thing, and if you guys do not remember this thing has a massive gap.
Exactly. Hey, are we going for gap number 2, baby?
Right. You got this big gap all the way up to 300. I'm not trying to say it's going to 300, guys.
But the room's there, right? I mean, at least. I
would say 255 is the move I would be looking for right around here. 254.50, 255, because you picked up this resistance area right in here. So that's what I'm looking for there. You come back and you say, okay, Mike, what else? Well, how about Apple? Why am I on Apple? I bought Apple calls last week and I can't type, and that's on me. right? Because it also was trying to break out. It took out the 52-week high. All-time highs are not far away at what, 182 and change. And it came down today on a downgrade. Okay, it's going to happen. Loop Capital came out this morning. They downgraded them to a hold with a price target of 180. So, it's not like they really beat the hell out of them. They just said they wanted it cheaper. So held the 8-day today. I like that. And then you got to go looking around. AMD here has been on a monster tear now off of this low. Nice push up here, breaking into a 52-week high. So if you're going to be in the semis, this has been one. And then you got to look around and see what's going on. Shop today, beautiful move here.
Baby.
Look at this move off earnings, right? Today got a big candle. Investors Business Daily came in and made their swing trade idea today. And you're going to see a theme here, guys. If you stick with the names that have good earnings that have been in play, that are holding them better, that's where you have to look at.
Yeah, quality.
I hear people saying, well, oh no, what about this name? And I'm like, what's so exciting about that? PayPal. I know PayPal's having a nice little day today, but what's so exciting to me about PayPal? They had another bad report. That's not something I want to be in. If you want to trade something today, I gotta admit, I missed this one today. UPST, what a squeeze on this thing today. Again,
what a nice move there, right? I mean,
look at the good report. I lost track of it. There was flow in it today, and I didn't bother to take the time to go look at it. Instead, I was hyper focused on Meta, and there it goes.
Yeah, one that's having a little setup. I played it last week. I sold it because I had to go to like a conference and didn't want to hold this type of name while I'm at a conference. But Carvana is setting up there. There's like this whole little bunch up there right below at 1050. It looks like, kind of like an upstart name, right? Decent report. It wasn't that bad. Definitely at least figuring some stuff out.
But they're still losing business. A fortune. That's my
100%. We could know that option, Mike. But at least, and I can say this because I was one of those people that was like more like Carvana's going to zero real quick. But it seemed like they might be able to play survival and kind of survive this out, right? Which is what their idea is, right? Let's just be honest. They're spending so much money. They got to figure a way to lean more closer to profitability. I don't think they even need to get to profitability.
Well, they're going to have to raise more cash, and that's the worry there is how are they going to raise this cash? But you're right. The other thing that has going for Carvana has a massive short interest.
Yeah.
It's like UPST. So if it hits and ignites, these things can squeeze, and that's what you're seeing on UPST today. So it's a great look, Definitely. Right? You're right. Another one where the earnings were better than expected. I traded this on earnings night. I made money on it after hours trading.
My man.
So,
I know you're good at those option, Mike. I don't know how you do it, man. And just like always, you're not going to be able to do every trade. He does one of these trades all the time. Those earnings trades that I got to tell you, option Mike, I got to get in your room and see you killing it, man, because I can't do these. I really can't. You got to know what you can do and what you can't. This is one of those trades. It's hard.
I always tell people you got to understand the name. You got to understand how it moves. You got to understand the bid ask and what liquidity is. The most important thing in the name. If you don't know liquidity, you better, because before I got much better at that, I used to just be dumb enough to take anything, and all of a sudden I get into trade on 1,000 shares and I was down $3,000 just because the bid ask was so wide. And there's nothing worse than that feeling. And you sit there and you have that moment of what the hell did I just do, right? Because I never bothered to look to see, oh wow, it was up on it was up $4 on 3,000 shares, and me hitting pound the ask at somebody sold right into me. It took their profits out, and so I've learned, I only trade liquid names, and so I look to see what the volume is.
Beautiful. Honestly, I talk about that all the time, right? Yeah. I talk about that because the truth is that liquidity can become an issue, right? And you don't want it to be an issue, right? The truth is when it becomes an issue, it's probably going to be a big issue, right? And so you just got to keep that in mind. Like that, it's kind of like a qualification for the trade. That's the way I look at it. I'm sure you look at it like that too.
And liquidity is not what it was a year and a half ago. The Fed has taken liquidity out of the market, and these little names, all these names don't have the same volume or the same liquidity that they used to have. They don't trade the same as they were trading during the time of QE, and you have to recognize that.
We got a good question here in the chat. I don't know this answer too much here from you, Option Mike, so I'd like to ask you, what do you think about leverage ETFs? Do you ever use them? Maybe as day trading vehicles?
I do, but they haven't been the place to be lately, and that's why I haven't really been trading them. So TQQQ has been one of my favorites over the years. I've done really well with this over a ton of time. But the problem right now is it has just no range, right? There's no money to be made on it. It doesn't have the range it used to have, and it's just not trading as well. So you can trade that one, or if you want to go short, the SQQQs. But these are day trades, and that's what I always tell everybody. unless you're in a time of an extreme move one way or the other, you don't sit in these. These are you in and out. You day trade them because they decay, right? They're decaying every day because they're using options and futures to get that leverage. That's how they're getting it. So they're decaying and they're always using short-term stuff. So the SPY is the SPXS and the SPXL. You got TNA and TZE depending on TZA and TZN on the IWM. It just depends what you're looking to do. I do use them. I do use them on occasion, but I also look at the market. And when you have a tight range like we've had on the indexes, I'm just looking at the names and I'm looking where I can get my movement out of. And I'm ignoring the indexes right now.
All right. Of course, this week we'll have a lot of earnings plays that will be coming out. Any that are on your radar option, Mike?
Yeah, Zoom tonight, first off.
Zooming, baby. We zooming back up. This is a Kathy Wood favorite, man. It's a big part of that ARKK. What do you think?
I'm worried about him, to be honest with you.
What are you worried about? What worries you in the business?
There's no growth.
No growth?
No growth. You know,
I mean,
they're one company. They only do the conferencing like we're doing here. So you're competing against Microsoft Teams. You're competing against Citrix and some of the other stuff, all this other stuff that is out there, but you have nothing else to grow into. Whereas Microsoft Teams is just a piece of it, right? That's just a piece of what they do. So where's the growth going to come from? It only comes from cannibalizing your competitors. Well, that's a tough sale, right? You're not getting into something new. So I expect they're going to have a fine earnings report. I suspect they're going to have probably beat on EPS, probably beat on revenue, but growth is not going to be there. And the market wants growth. If you don't have growth, watch out.
Yeah, my thing would be, what about AI mentions? Do you think we'll get some? I think, without a doubt, they're going to start.
What are they going to do for AI? I mean, I love that thought. What are you
know how it is, Option Mike. Right now, it's like, just bring it to your earnings report. Figure out ways to bring in the AI mentions, because that's something that I'll be looking for, especially tonight in their call.
I'm sure they're going to mention AI because everybody has. And, but, what are they actually going to do with AI? Speaking of it, if you'd rather be on AI, I mean, AI above 28 can run. It's telling you all afternoon.
It's crazy. I was watching that move last week, and I almost got the through 21 move. It was just one of those days where I didn't see it as it opened up, and it was really quickly through that 21. That was a good level to maybe take a shot on this, maybe off the 18, right? You could see the bottoming action over there, but now it's on takeoff mode. That's for sure.
Yep. So over 28, you could take a shot on that. You talk about earnings. You got Nvidia coming up on Wednesday night.
That's going to be massive, man.
But again, I always look at the size of the run. In 6 months, it's gone from $115 to $315 a share. And they're going to mention AI because they have AI. This is going to be all over, but it's going to have to be one of those really good reports, right? Because you've had this massive run. You've run into the report. They're going to have to blow it out. They really are. So not that they can't, but they've also had tremendous problems with their new graphics cards that they launched this year. They have not been well received. There's if you listen to the gaming community, they're not liking them. They've been blowing up. They've had lots of problems with them, and the cost versus the performance increase hasn't been there because they raised their prices so much. So. And then the other one I really want to watch this week is Snowflake because
baby, Snow, it got going, right?
Yeah, it's got going. This is a growth name, and if you're looking for growth, this is a growth name. But what you need to see them is they need to be showing a path to profitability. It'd be best if they turn a profit, but if they don't turn a profit, they need to be showing on their call saying we're going to be profitable next quarter. We're EBITDA profitable here. You want to see what you're seeing here in Palantir. And by the way, I'm way underwater in Palantir for a long time and holding it. I'm probably going to add shortly to it. But what you're seeing here in Palantir on this earnings report is a character change in the stock. They have now reported a profit in the last couple quarters, have said they're going to be profitable for the rest of the year and growing their profits. That is a character change in the stock. That's what you're looking for in Snow. I only bring up Palantir being just full disclosure. But this is what you're looking for in Snow. You're looking for a similar path on that, because that's what the people want to hear. They don't want to hear about companies like DoorDash, which loses money on every engagement and is just
That's the key. That's the key. And I think one thing that I think is important is understanding this question, because I feel like it changes sometimes. Raz in the chat, I'll give you a shout out again. That's what it's all about. You guys in the chat, get your opportunity to ask Option Mike questions here. That's what it's really all about. You guys run the show also. So good question here. What defines a good report these days? It's kind of difficult, right?
Well, but you're looking you'd like it to beat the previous quarter, but really you're looking at guidance and you're looking at projection and what they're saying about their costs. Really, one thing that's very important right now in this market is your expenses and your costs. Are they in line? Are they going up higher than they're supposed to be? And you're looking at, are they guiding higher? And even though Walmart guided higher, their costs were up and they didn't like that, so they turned on Walmart. They dumped it back down. So you're really looking at that. Obviously you want them to beat, but beating's past performance. The market's looking for future here. So that's what you're looking to see. But then if you have a company like Carvana or Palantir, which has been losing money in terms of profit, that gets everybody's attention right away.
Exactly. So I love how you mentioned there, like kind of the focus words and how they change sometimes, right? Because the truth is that certain times we're going to be focused more on growth. Certain times we're going to be focused more on the cost, right? Yeah. And I think that this always changes. We have to be asking ourselves, what's the current environment like? Like you just mentioned, Option Mike, he just clearly gave it to you guys on kind of more the growth names. If you can see them turn into profitability, well, yeah, that's going to be a little bit more of that green light there. So I think that this is all things that we need to keep in mind, try to stay with the current environment. Like I talked about today, we're seeing some defensives getting hit today. Where does that move? Probably that's a little bit of value falling off, right? Because growth is available now. At least it seems like.
Well, they're going to pile into where they can make the most money. Remember, fund managers they want their bonuses. And a lot of them didn't get their bonuses last year because they just didn't, because they didn't hit their performance metrics. So they want to do that this year. Question there is about PE. Last year, PE was important. PEs have come in here. I'm never a big fundamental guy. I will pay attention to the fundamentals, but I'm going to take technically and based upon what the market says. And the market tells you what to think. Now, I will tell you, I thought Square's report was pretty good. And I traded that after hours and made nice cash on it. But until today, it's been acting like the market hated it. So the market's going to dictate how it feels about a report, guys. And it's just watching how they do. I wouldn't play NVIDIA after hours.
Last good question there. How would you play NVIDIA?
I'll probably grab 500 shares of NVIDIA after hours if I like it on a long. I don't tend to short. I'm very rarely short after hours. It's just I don't know enough information, and you see these names come down and reverse hard and go right back up because you don't have all the information.
Love it.
But typically, I wait for the first minute to close, and if it gets above that, then that's when I'm looking to jump right back into or key levels on it.
Love it. Kind of like a undercut and rally type of trade, right? Yeah. Where you're seeing that kind of almost big wick action on that 1 minute, and then you seeing it come right back in, especially algos picking back up. I'm sure like you look at like kind of level twos, time and sales, seeing that like kind of.
I just trade purely off volume in the price action.
Love it. You guys, make it out there. You guys want to check out Option Mike, do it. You guys can, of course, like always. You guys can check out his links. I'm going to make sure to include those right now.
Way too quickly after hours, but because you can't put a stop in. I've had names reverse in my face and gotten really hasty losses. So I get a nice video. You can't put a market, you can't put a stop, you can't do a market order. It's buy the ask, sell the bid. And once I buy in, I put my mouse right on sell the bid, and I'm just ready to click out. When it starts to take off, I'm gone and I take it.
Love it. I just threw up there. Also, of course, you guys can check out Smart Option Trading. I'm throwing up the YouTube and the Twitter here for my man Option Mike. You guys check that all out. I'll definitely have you back on. Thank you for coming on, man, and giving me a little bit of a recap of what you've been seeing. Have a good one, Option Mike. Take care. Guys. All right, I'm getting him out of here. He'll go ahead and wrap up the day. It's 3:53, guys. It's time for a little bit of ticker time. So you guys out there, throw up some tickers. I will take a look. And of course, if you guys have anything you guys want to focus on, now's your chance as I give you guys the last remaining time in the show. Of course, we can take a look at some of the trades that I'm in, or we can take a look at what else is setting up. Like I like that Carvana setup, right? I mean, of course, it's going to matter if we still see these growth stocks taking off, but that Carvana setup really looked good. There's a reason why I brought it up there in the conversation, and you guys can see this looks to me like what Joel would say is a 5-star level. So definitely, I'm going to ask Joel tomorrow what he thinks of Carvana, but by then, it could be a lot higher. We'll see what happens on Carvana if it could take another step up. And of course, keep your eyes on some growth names, right? Today, what happens? ARKK takes off. Do you guys remember we wanted to go long on ARKK, right? And I was looking at ways to go about this. I had names like Unity. I was talking about Snow, right? Well, they're starting to make the move. And I'm really starting to support that growth names are a good target now, because the truth is ARKK has seemed to truly bottom. And today is a really strong signal for me. Going back through the 40s, going back up through the 26, seeing the volume kind of change here on the pullback recently. You got increased volume at the bottom there. So if anything, I'm seeing Kathy, you're back, baby. And if you guys out there were hating on Kathy, well, guess what? You very much soon might be loving on Kathy. So one thing that I would definitely look out for is watch out for these growth names, right? Because they could be having some massive short squeeze, and maybe look into the short interest to see what happens with some of these stocks, right? Will they continue to lift higher? Of course, keep it in mind. We'll see what happens with Kathy Wood. And of course, these are growth names. Keep in mind profitability, but you're seeing it already. Snow had already taken off. Unity is one that I will be looking at. We can just go into ARKK and run through some of these names. Some of them are healthcare names that are already starting to push higher. DraftKings was a really nice pick by her, I got to actually say. Unity still looks good. Twilio getting a nice little push. Coin, a lot of bottoming there. Square now starting to move a little higher. Roku moving higher. Zoom is going to matter significantly today. And of course, Tesla will be a big part of this. I talked about today, would Tesla get up there towards the 197? And I felt like a lot of people thought 185 was already a big move. We're already up there to 189. This could easily get up there towards that trend line. And I talked about this morning on pre-market prep. So definitely, if you guys want to tune into action like that to catch these moments, that's where I talk about that. And it's been a big move in Tesla. What does that show me? If Tesla can make big moves, yeah, we can continue riding higher in this market. So keep an eye out, because we could push higher. We could shake all this Micron worries. And you guys can see the action today. Didn't really kind of scare the market. But I'm still taking a shot there on RCLX. I was already able to take a nice little profit today. So worst comes to worst, I get stopped out for a gain on the position. I'll take a shot there. All right. Is the VWAP still important for trading? Very important question there, Raz. And I like it. You're asking some great questions today. One thing that I would say about the VWAP, and I've talked about this before, it's one of my favorite tools for trading, right? But it's a tool. And sometimes these tools can come into higher edge and lower edge. What do I mean by that? Sometimes when we first start to use something, it might not be the most supported strategy. What do I mean by that? It means that there's not that many traders trading that, right? Well, the truth is the VWAP has become a massively traded kind of indicator where everyone's looking for the VWAP pullbacks. Everyone's looking for the fades off the VWAP. So I've come to the point where, yes, I do think the VWAP is very important, but it's not the end all be all indicator, right? That it once was for me, right? And so from that being said, I think that you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to look how the performance has recently been on that particular stock with the VWAP. And then also understand that certain times the VWAP is actually going to lose its edge. Why? Because a lot of traders are looking at it, right? Something to keep in mind. Mitch, is the RSI useful anymore? I 100% think so. But the big thing with me in the RSI is, like I went about it for NVIDIA, is understanding more historical reference. When does the stock tend to peak on RSI versus thinking that immediately when it gets to 80, it's turning around? No, I want to see historical reference when the stock normally turns around, and that usually plays in multiple times. That I kind of like. And of course, this is more of a lagging indicator, right? It's not a leading indicator, something to keep in mind. I was using RSI with Tesla and it backfired 100%. Also to keep in mind, right, is maybe combining variables, right? It's not always going to be right. I can show you how Tesla looked there and why I might have not been able to do that one. And another thing to kind of point to is that I like RSI, but only on daily outlooks, Armor. Of course, you take this how you want to take it. It's not 100% that I'm right and someone else that taught you RSI is wrong, but just how I use it, right? I use David Green's charts, EMA, and 80-20 RSI. I use 80-20, but the big thing for me is not the 80-20 cross, because Stocks, you'll see this. You'll see that they go above and below the RSI multiple times, right? And they go above and below the 80s and 20s multiple times. So I want to know historical reference. When has a stock been in extremes? Extremes for Tesla are above 90. Extremes for Tesla on the downside are below 16. This stock went down to 16 when it was down here at that 160 level and bounced right off of that. You can see here, the RSI starts going up while the price action goes down. What is that? That's called price divergence, where the indicator was telling you one thing, but the price action was telling you another. This is very important to catch, because if you can catch this, you can start looking to see if the indicator actually comes back in line, right? So one thing to keep in mind is that when the RSI gives you that negative divergence where you see the RSI going up, but price action going down, what do we want to be looking for? Does it come back in line? Does the price action start moving up as RSI moves up? What is that? Positive confirmation. So you look into these kind of topics: negative divergence, positive confirmation from indicators, and that's how you can get a little bit of an edge with the RSI. And I like the comment in the chat, like Smoke Tuna says, maybe combining multiple indicators like the RSI, the MACD, the VWAP has been a good way to stay safe. I like that outlook, Smoke Tuna. Now you're using multiple variables to keep you from doing what? Probably over trading a lot, right? Making the trade selection a little bit more defined and helping you stay more into truly bullish plays and you're going long, or truly bearish trades and you're going short, right? Things like this can definitely help you. All right, catching up in the chat. What's going on out there? Moving average 50 and 200? Yes, things you can use. I mean, I put those on my chart, but they're not the end all be all for me. They're just a part of the description on the charts. You guys can see them. That's that blue, that's that purple line, and that's that yellow line there. And they're on the charts, but they're not something that I like just be like, oh, I need to go ahead and nail this down. And Smoke Tuna, my friend, you enjoy that butter chicken. We all need to get ourselves a little butter chicken. It's 4:01. I went a little bit of overtime, so I hope that you guys out there and want to see me continuing getting to some more traders. So that's why I'll ask you for a like right now. So if you want to see some more experienced traders on there so that we can keep growing, I hope you guys hit the like button and enjoy today's start swing trade. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Will my LRCX still be into the green? Will we continue climbing in this new bull market, or will we run into the wall that is China? We'll find out. Like always, you guys can keep up with me at MoneyMitchBZ. Give me a follow and reach out to me if you ever have a question on stocks. I try to reply to all questions DM to me. So if you guys hit me up, definitely at MoneyMitchBZ. I will see you guys bright and early. Pre-market prep. What happens tomorrow? Zoom earnings tonight. Will they continue to pop higher? And if that pops higher, will we be talking about Cathie Wood tomorrow? I have a feeling we just might. Hit the like button. I'll see you guys bright and early. And who knows? Not a bad little day today. Let's see if I can continue the basket climbing higher with the cruise lines and the airlines. See you next time, team. Hit the like.